You're listening to the Platte River Bard.
Hello, and welcome to the Platte River Bard. This is Chris Berger.
And I'm Sherry Berger.
And we are here at the Loft. We are here with the artistic director, Kevin Colbert, and we are here with the star, yes, she is, of the Loft's latest upcoming production called Wit, and her name is Jennifer Gilg, and we are so happy that both of you are here joining us today to talk about the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome. Well, it's just about here.
Yes, and it's, well, I must say, of course, Wit is a show about the last few hours of the life of a woman who has ovarian cancer. And this for you, as I suppose as a person and also as an actress, was kind of a big day. Because, of course, she's going through chemo and all this sort of thing, and she loses her hair. Mm-hmm. And today was the day.
Today was shaving day, yes. So
oh, my.
I knew I would not have the courage to do it myself, so I went to my stylist, and
Yeah.
he ripped the Band-Aid off, and we didn't even talk about it. I closed my eyes, and it was gone.
Oh, wow.
And she looks fabulous.
So
and as I said, I applaud her commitment to the role. Not a lot of people would do that. I mean, that's a big step to take.
It is.
In today's society. And when you... and I think that's the way Jennifer has approached this entire process. I mean, this is a tough show. It's a difficult show to do. And her commitment has just been 100%. And so it's not surprising, but I still am amazed at what she's capable and willing to do.
Wow. And, choosing this particular production it's kind of, how did you come to that, to that decision?
It's not hard. I try to find, at least within the season, if I can find a Pulitzer Prize winner somewhere or something that I can sink my teeth into that's a little bit different than a fluffier comedy, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I try to do that at least once a year. I have a slot that I call the director slot, where it's something that, I've always wanted to do it, and this is my opportunity to put out something. Now, that's not necessarily this particular slot, but when I saw this, and I know what it's about, and I know it's going to be difficult for people to see, and I also know that there's going to be people with plenty of baggage of their own, because who has not been touched by cancer?
Absolutely.
And I also know that there are people who will make a decision to say, I can't, I will not, and I can't attend that one because it's too close, it hits home, that type of thing, and I get that. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure I'm going to get the question, why this? Why do you think that this is good theater? Well, since we've been in it now for as many weeks as we have, and saying the words, I mean, those of us we know why it's good theater, because it's written as well as it's written, and it's not just a story about the death of a woman to cancer. It's her life. It's everybody who has passed from cancer has a story. Mm-hmm. And this is hers. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important thing when we put those, or when you see the names of the people who have passed, and every one of them has a name, every one of them has a life, every one of them has a story. Mm-hmm. This is her particular story, and coincides, a lot of the things that she goes through coincides with her own life, her teachings of the poetry of John Donne. But I'm still going to get that question, why this? Why,
and I asked it.
Why do we need, and you did, and I'm prepared. Why do we need this when really what we need to do is laugh, And I get that. Yeah. We laughed last show. We're going to laugh the rest of the season,
right.
So this is an opportunity, and if you're an actor or director, when you hit these shows, when you get to sink your teeth into something like this and really work the craft, that's rewarding. Mm-hmm. It really is. Not that the other things aren't, because they are, no matter what. But we all go about theater with the same passion, with the same hope that we can entertain people, take them out of their own lives for just a little bit. I mean, everybody does that. And this is a moment for us to do something just a little more real.
Right.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And why did you want this role? Because as I understand
what
it,
drew
you
you?
came prepared.
I did. Well, I was lucky enough to see this production in Omaha about 20 years ago.
Oh, man.
And the woman who played Vivian Bearing was amazing. And I admired her work so much. And I wouldn't say I thought, oh, someday I want to do that role. But I got to say that really meaty roles for women my age are kind of few and far between.
Understand that, yes.
And I knew this role, and she was a little older when she played the part, so I kind of ruled myself out first, but then I looked a little closer and I read the script, and it's like, well, actually, I'm kind of right in the ballpark.
Yeah.
So and I've worked with Kevin once before, and I know how seriously he takes the work, and I was really hopeful that it would work out, and luckily it did.
That's great.
Yeah, and you don't know how my heart skipped a beat when she walked through the door.
Yeah.
I remember when Kevin, yeah.
Not, but you know, when you pick this show, it's really almost a one-woman show. You hope that person comes through the door.
It's mostly
You really do.
the Vivian
And,
character. Yeah,
it is. And when she came in, I don't precast. Never have, and try to. Hopefully, never will.
Right.
But when I know that she came through the door, I thought there's somebody capable, there's someone competent. Having worked with her before as well, I said, and if it turns out that it is her, we will be in good hands. And as it turned out, we're in good hands.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
What was the thing that you worked with Kevin on before? I'm curious.
I did The Sound of Music here, which was a great experience. I have great memories, and I still have some of the children that still communicate with their Maria on Facebook.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I feel a little motherly towards them. And so that's the only time. But we come down here for a couple shows every year. You know, we enjoy the material, love the community here. And some people I've been telling, I said, believe me, when you come into this building to see a play, it's affirming. It's like, this is why we do theater, you know?
I agree.
This is a feeling of real camaraderie that you just don't, you know, in Omaha, it can feel a little bit more like you're doing a job, you know? So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So it's a great feeling to come in here every time, even just to be in the audience.
Yeah, like it has a lot of heart into it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
And
a
of
down
course,
home heart.
Yes. Well, and you've been doing theater for, gosh, like most
A
of your
while.
life?
Since high school.
Since high school? Yeah.
Kind of, took my 3 years of law school off. That didn't seem compatible with the cutthroat world of law school. But
Fair enough.
But I probably should have done it. Actually, probably would have made me a lot happier. But yeah, so a while. But yeah, I did it in college too, and then picked it back up when I got out of law school.
Well, and speaking of law school, what do you mind if I ask you what you do for your everyday job?
Yeah. I work with the Federal Public Defender's Office, so I'm a lawyer. We do criminal work for the people who can't afford their own attorneys, and they're faced with criminal charges. So
Oh, that's
Very
going to be
nice.
a hard
little
job,
something different.
Yeah.
Hey.
Doing theater.
Well,
And now for something completely different. Yeah.
and in a way, still serving the community, right? Because
I like to think of it that way. Yeah.
absolutely
It could definitely be any of us or any of our family members. And
at any time.
I would want someone there to guide me through. So I try to be that person.
That's really cool.
So what other things did you do to prepare for this role besides what you did today? But what other things? Because this is still a heavy role and there's still a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
And might I add, not everybody comes out of shaving their head looking good. A lot of people, and I've had a lot of experience with this, come out and they're like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
Don't set me up like this.
But I must say, you look great with a shaved head. So good on you.
All right. Well, thank you. What else did I do? Well, obviously, just memorizing was a good part of my month before we started rehearsals.
Oh, man.
This play requires medical terminology and a good, just really large vocabulary.
Yeah.
So I have to say I did a lot of looking up things. There's some poetry recitation in this, and I had to learn a little bit more about how to present the old, 17th century poetry. those are some of the big things, I guess. And then just trying to sleep and things like, take care of myself so I'm not
For sure.
not sick for, I mean, that would just be.
Well, and your character at one point sort of gives almost like a class on a poem at one point in the play, and she's sitting there explaining everything with all of the vocabulary, and then you immediately switch to that to going to talking to a doctor that's throwing out, I don't know, half the terms I hadn't heard before, and we're looking at them and trying to pronounce them, and you just roll on through it. It's been amazing.
Well, I work on it, and I will just, I will say there are two other people, especially in this show, that have big, long medical speeches. So kudos to them as well, because it's hard to get the words out sometimes, and even when you know them, sometimes they just don't come out right. So we've been lucky to have a medical advisor to help us with that.
Yes.
Yes, and thank God for her. She's I mean, there's a lot of things when you're giving medical exams and giving tests, and it's just helpful to know why this is done this way. What are they looking for? What are the dynamics of it? How do you stand? What do you do? And so that's been really helpful to have a medical consultant. But Jennifer, in regards to your particular character, what do you do for your approach? And I'm interested because I know that there's a lot of things you do. Work from the inside out or the outside in. I know Olivier says I create outside first and then I go to the inside, whereas Stanislavski will say everything. So how can you come up with emotions and things, especially what this character has, the pain, for example, the being, with death basically staring you in the face. Where do you come from? Where does that happen so that it can be convincing from the inside out?
I draw on personal experiences.
There you go.
I don't have I have not had a close brush with, well, that's not true. I had a very close friend who died of ovarian cancer. And I saw a little bit, but, she wasn't living in my house or anything, so I didn't know.
Right.
I only saw her on the good days.
Okay, yeah.
So, but I do remember some things about her experience that she mentioned, but, I have some other personal experiences with death, and especially when my sister died in the hospital, in a scene that is very much like what is staged. And wow. I use that as
there you go. Yeah. Perfect.
As something to draw, and it's one of the reasons why my parents may not see this play, because
fair enough.
I just warned them ahead of time. But but that's something you can use, and then I think of things like some of my law school professors.
There you go.
For the professorial part.
Sure.
Yes.
Because I definitely had a couple of mean ones. So, the edge that one in particular had, she's a little bit in there, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have a particular method, but I kind of grab from different places for different parts.
Sure. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's interesting. I mean, especially when you get characters like this, what is the process? What is it that you can use? And everybody does things a little bit differently. And I think those types of things that you have there, that's what I would have done if I were doing it. And you can only draw on what you know, and then you rely on your skill to create those things that you really can't hope. And thank goodness your skill is at a very high level, and it all works.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah, no, you've done stuff all around Omaha, Lincoln as well, or just in most of the Omaha area?
I've never done Lincoln.
Okay, never done anything in Lincoln. But I know that you've done a whole ton of stuff over the years. In Omaha, of course, with the Playhouse and other places. But what was have you ever had such as sort of a heavy, serious role as this, or have you been like you said, did it Sound of Music? Have you been more of a musical girl, or?
I'm pretty much down the middle. I've done both, and I enjoy both processes, but they're very different animals, I will say.
Yeah.
So usually after I do a musical, I'm ready to do a play, and kind of dig in there. Let me think. I did The Mad Woman of Chaillot when I was in college, and I played the Mad Woman, and that probably is the biggest straight play I've done. That was, I don't know if you'd call it serious or not. I mean, it's kind of whimsical, I guess you might say.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty big load for a college student, and
For sure.
And I've had a couple leads in musicals, but I think this might be the biggest, or the one where I feel like most of the weight is on my shoulders, which is
Well,
scary.
it is. I think like 75% of the show, I think, is you.
Yeah, I just have a lot of
yeah.
monologues. I mean, my scenes are with great partners, and
For sure.
I look forward to them. But yeah, there's a lot between those scenes. So.
Well, and coming to this role after you've done so much in theater for all these years, and because you and I are around the same age, so we have some experience on us and a lot of life experience on us. Do you feel like this was a sort of a good point for you to really sort of understand what a lot of what's going on in here? Because I can't imagine a younger person. I mean, if this was about a younger person, maybe somebody in their 20s, I can't imagine a younger person trying to get their head around a lot of what's going through here, because especially towards the end, when things really start breaking down, and you can almost see the character sort of staring death down at the end.
I think being a little bit experienced, shall we
Yeah,
say?
for sure.
I do think that it would have been hard to wrap my head around some of the concepts, but when you've seen some people in your life deal with those questions,
For sure.
the end of life questions, and and you think you put yourself in those situations, it's definitely something I've had to do. So it's not a complete foreign concept to me. I've been very blessed with good health, and I feel for that part of the character that just like really has to. Everyone who undergoes cancer treatment is just always, sort of sick and tired, and just fighting every day. And I admire that, and I'm, knock on wood, will never have to deal with that myself. But some of the questions that arise are definitely things that are familiar to me.
Yeah, well, and I noticed that in watching you do it and reading through it, and I would think to myself, 10 years ago, I'm not sure if I would even know what some of this meant, and now, that I'm in my 50s, I'm like, okay, I'm sort of more aware of what's being said. And this play, I mean, like you said, it's Pulitzer Prize winner. So it's so well written. And Kevin and I were talking about that last night. Every single night, there's something else. And I know you come to that realization a lot too. Like I was saying this tonight, and now this occurs to me because she says this, and it didn't hit me until tonight.
Yeah, and that's
it's really brilliant.
I share Kevin's feeling about how you just don't run into those perfect scripts that often.
No.
And I mean, maybe some people will not love the subject matter, but the construction of this play is remarkable.
It is.
Little things that happen early will echo at the end, and it will all just kind of like fit together. And if you're paying attention, which was our job to make sure that you do, but you'll be rewarded because it just comes full circle in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
So, if you're willing to just like give it a chance and know that it's, there'll be some hard moments, but it'll move you, I think.
Yeah. Well, and that being said, there is some humor in the play. It's not an hour and a half of doom and gloom, but because the character of Vivian is actually quite funny, and she's quite witty, hence the name of the play, Wit. She has an incredible wit about her, and says a lot of not sort of I would say conventionally funny things, but very sort of witty things that you might hear a professor say. And because I'm sure you've heard me several times laugh out loud at just little lines here and there that I personally find very funny. But I don't know whether the audience will, but I find them hilarious because the character herself is kind of very funny and carries a lot of her humor with her all the way to the end. Her wit with her all the way to the end.
Yeah, and it's not gratuitous laughter. It's laughter born from the circumstances.
From the situation, yeah. It's not like a joke. Yeah.
Right.
She never makes jokes. It's an observation or something,
Right.
For sure.
Well, and then the interesting thing about this character is that she's she kind of stands alone. I mean, she's
Yes.
lost her parents and she has no siblings. She's not married. So she kind of goes through this journey alone. And I think it gives her a little bit of, I mean, I wouldn't say it's easy for her to die, but it gives her enough distance for her to like see what's happening to her and just like observe in a more detached way. And the observations she makes are funny because of it, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, so we make a little bit of fun of, you know, the medical professions and, you know, the way, you know,
It all
researchers
works.
look at, you know, tough problems and almost forget there's a human being attached. But like I said, because most people, if they get this diagnosis, they're thinking of their family members. What am I going to do? How are my kids going to manage, you know, or how, you know, my husband, what do I tell him, you know, go find another wife if I die, you know? I mean, but these things, people have conversations like that, but she doesn't have any of that. So she's able to just sort of like look at it in a more intellectual way, I guess. And it's kind of her way of dealing with it, but it's a new way. And so I think that keeps it interesting.
Yeah, it allows it to be all about her and her experience and her journey through the last little part of her life and dealing with this, because she is sort of a research subject in a way, because she's taking this sort of experimental cancer research regimen, and they're very much watching her to see how she responds, and she's of course very tough, and she gets through it. Most of it obviously, but not all of it. But there is that aspect to it too. Is there's a lot of stuff about the medical profession and about treating cancer itself and how they go about it.
It's quite an industry.
Yeah, it is, and bless those people the people who are the nurses and doctors, and you know, we talked about this is a copyright late mid-90s, now I can't remember. Mid-90s, and the advancements that have been made in cancer from that time, but still it is pervasive, and we cannot eradicate it, and you would think that with the billions and the minds and the people that we'd be farther than what they are. But I know there's little tiny steps and little victories that you hear every 6 months. Oh, they found this with melanoma, or they found this, and isn't it something that it's that destructive, I guess.
Right.
For sure.
So what was some of the other challenges that you had? Because I know the set is kind of simple, right? For most of the...
Not a traditional set. We didn't have set building day.
No, we did not. And I know that there's going to be those people that, well, what did he kind of take the show off or what here? No set? What is this? And I have always been, and people who build sets for me will tell you that, you know, just because you have 40 feet doesn't mean you have to fill it up every single inch with a piece of set.
Right.
So I've been struggling with, well, maybe a panel here or something here that I can light, and maybe something over here, but at the same time going, no, stop it. It's not about the set. This one is about the people. It's about what happens within the set. So I've been trying to make sure that still it has a theatrical quality to it, you know, but just with the focus on the people. So it's lighting will do a lot of it, and some sound will help as well. But it's going to be different.
Well, and I think a lot of plays that have meaning the sets are very simple. If they it seems like almost the heavier subject there is, the stage isn't necessarily having to be elaborate.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Is it not? Or maybe I'm seeing it differently.
No, I think there's something
just what
to
I've
that.
seen so far.
Yeah, I think that does tend to happen sometimes with, especially I think more modern plays, that the heavier the subject, the less they tend to want to dress the stage
just
up,
minimize
because
it.
it's more about the people and the story and the characters, which this is definitely one of them. I mean, we have set pieces, you know, like she spends a good deal of time, Jen, in a hospital bed, and various other types of beds, and there's medical screens, and it's just sort of set pieces. And then, of course, we're going to, do stuff with the lighting and all that, which will really help that out.
And this is the first time that we've actually done a show with no intermission. We're going straight through it. We'll
That's
let people
true.
know ahead of time that there's no intermission here once you get in and you sit down. For the reverence of the material, for the sake of the flow of the show, we're not going to break it. We're not going to stand up. We're just going to go straight through it. And they'll sit for, I suppose an hour 40, something like that. But that's yeah, yes, fingers crossed. and
we'll get there.
that's not too much to ask these days, I don't think. And I mean, I know people's
No.
attention spans are shorter. I get that, but I think that I think if we let them go and take an intermission, it's going to be some of those folks are going to be I just can't
Can't do
anymore.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then they'll even not get to have the payoff of the show. So
Yes.
yeah. And in regards to the construction of the show, we were talking earlier, first time author for this as well.
I think
Yes.
maybe the only thing she ever
Yeah,
wrote.
I think I was thinking there was something afterwards that maybe she collaborated on.
you
I'd have
could
to
be
double
right.
check on that. But yeah, she's elementary school teacher, first time author, and she put something like this
Her freshman
together.
effort, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well,
Unbelievable.
congratulations to you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the two subjects that she melds are so different. I mean, the medical and the, English literature.
Yeah, John
I don't know
Donne.
how one person knows as much about both of those fields as she apparently does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's impressive. She has quite the mind.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's of course your character's sort of favorite poet is John Donne, who's a 17th century poet, and your character talks extensively about that poet and the meaning behind a lot of the poetry, which becomes sort of very appropriate in a way for the situation she ends up going through. But yeah, combining those two things. Well, let's combine 17th century poetry and cancer research.
Yeah.
And hey, that's a play.
That's a great play. Yeah.
Maybe that's what people do. They just put little pieces of paper with words on it in a jar, and they just take a couple.
I always think that there's a sentence in the show, and I know we talked about it, but now I can't even remember which one it was. But there was just a sentence in the show that seems like, they woke up one night and this sentence came across and thought,
That was the
this is what
premise.
Yeah.
That's
this
where
is
it
what
came
I'm going to
from.
build
That was their inspiration.
my show around.
I think it was, I thought that being extremely smart would take care of it.
There you go. Yeah,
I think that's it.
Yes.
She is extremely smart, and she has
Yes.
met every challenge and exceeded all expectations every time. She's used to being the smartest in the room and the most capable, and she thought if she approached cancer with the same kind of determination and in rigor that she approaches everything else, she was going to make it. And I think that was the the line.
Yeah, you're right.
For sure. Yeah.
I know when I have written one play as well, and
It's a good one, too.
It's a great one.
Oh, shucks. That kind of happened with us. I mean, we sat around. I co-wrote it with a friend, but we sat around and talked about a premise of it, how we would maybe like it to go. Let it go for a while. Got back together, talked again. Let it go. Got back together, talked again, and finally put it on a schedule. So we had a deadline to put it together. But it was like, you know what? This is a nice little nugget right here. This line. Why don't we take this line and make a 2.5-hour play out of this line? What do you think? And so that's kind of what I did. So I look for those lines within the shows, and
almost like a
What's
thesis
kind of
statement
the-
or something.
and it's the spine, it's the reason, it's the story, and go from there. Yeah,
And-
expand.
Had you seen Wit before?
I have not.
You hadn't. You
No.
had read it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, and there's a
And it
movie.
was just such a good read. Then obviously.
Yeah, and they did a
Yeah.
HBO movie in 2001 with Emma Thompson, and it's a Mike Nichols movie, and I guess they both put it together, and it's really excellent, and it's pretty
Very-
darn faithful
Oh,
to
yeah, very faithful to
the
the
actual
script.
material.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Very well done, but
She wanted to do it. Emma Thompson.
Was she-
did.
she
I
read
mean, it was like
Well, and she's a
she
theater-
executive produced the thing. I mean, she
Yeah.
was. It was her show.
something.
she's a
and she
theater
was-
person anyway. That's not
Yeah,
surprising.
yeah,
She's awesome.
Yeah. And she was okay.
Yeah. Emma needs a little work.
Yeah, well, she'll get there one of these days.
You keep working.
But interestingly, one of the reasons why I thought it would be okay to, I mean, I am, the age of the person in the show is 50, and that's where I'm at. But Emma was probably, I don't know, I want to say 40 or something
she was a
when
little
she
younger,
did it.
yeah.
And then Cynthia Nixon has done it as well
Ooh.
on Lincoln Center or something, somewhere in New
Yeah.
York. And that, so she was, she's about my age, so she probably was a little younger even than me when she did it. So
Cynthia Nixon would have been good too.
Yeah.
And in regards to that, I don't cast for age. However, some age have life experiences that make you deliver lines
Yes.
totally different because of an understanding of living to a certain time.
Right.
And after doing a lot of plays at high school, when I taught at the high school level, and then doing community theater as well, bringing in, when you first started, high school people who I know were good to play roles that, did the man who came to dinner in high school and but could you really understand Mr. DePenna or Grandpa or any of those characters because you're 16.
Yes.
But then when I brought it, we did it at community theater, and I had Mr. DePenna, and the guy was 65, and Grandpa was, he was.
We
in
can't take
his
it with you.
70s.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like, well, now there you go. Because of a life experience, things are different. And
I played Mr. DePenna in high school.
I'll bet you were marvelous.
It was.
it's really good training,
It's fun.
It is. Yeah, you're darn
especially
right.
for
Yeah.
putting on physical parts,
Yeah.
learning physicality of a character.
For sure. Yeah. No, we did. We did. All My Sons in high school for my senior play, and I was Joe Keller, of course. So it's one of those heavy duty Arthur Miller plays he wrote right around the time of Crucible, and Death of a Salesman, and it doesn't end well like most Arthur Miller, and. I can't believe we did that in high school.
Yeah.
It's such a heavy, unbelievably heavy play, but but we did.
But you didn't do wit.
But we didn't do wit. It was not around yet. But
So how are you counteracting all of the heaviness of this particular play?
'Cause rehearsals get a little
in
heavy.
your real life, what do you do? Are you getting pedicures? Like,
it's a good question that I would not have
having a
asked.
beer?
I will say personally, my weekends have become just not productive. I just allow myself to not do very much.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The whole self-care and the treats and stuff, the pedicures, I haven't really done that. I work out faithfully because that really helps to just
Right.
clear my head. I don't know, that's my therapy, I think. But
It's a good therapy to have.
Yeah, it just would be just a heavy show to do for 5 weeks, something like that. Yeah.
I try to find diversions too, because it's true. When you get involved in these, you wake up and boom, it's the first thing on my mind.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what do I do here? How do I make this? And then I go home and watch Colbert, and hopefully
it helps. Yeah, I've been watching Ted Lasso when I can when I get home.
Excellent.
Because
Give me
that'll
something.
just give me something to laugh.
Take my mind off it, give it innocuous, and then when I turn the television off and before I fall asleep, it's the last thing I'm thinking about as well. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
For sure. Well, I'm looking forward to. I have a very, very small part in this, but I'm looking forward to actually seeing this with an audience here, because as you're doing such a fantastic job in rehearsal, but I'm dying to see you with an audience. Because that always changes a performance, especially I think dramatic and comedy, it doesn't matter. It always changes a performance. And so I'm really eager to see what, that X factor that the audience brings to it and how they respond. And I just know it's going to be great. So, but I'm really looking forward to getting you an audience in here, man.
Yeah.
I think we're getting close. I think we're about where we need to be. But,
I do.
Oh, for
I
sure,
do.
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. We have work to do,
Yeah.
obviously. But I've been in worse shape with a week to go.
As have I.
Yep.
And we all remember those experiences.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like, wow, we got a week.
And even though it's a small part, it's mighty. There are no small parts, It's just
No, I realize
Small
that.
actor.
I'm not going to put myself over here. I have like
you're
6 lines.
And amazing when you deliver them, though.
Thank you.
All 6 of them are just
yes, as student.
And you move a bed better than
I
anyone
know.
else
Right.
I've known.
I'm the best student number 1 you've ever seen.
But But I appreciate all of you so much because you have no idea how nice it is to have people on stage with you that can just, that they're there, they're going to deliver for you, and you don't feel quite as alone.
Yeah.
It is nice. No, and we have a really, really good group, I think, in surrounding you in this play. Bill Bossman is doing such a great job as the Dr. Kalikian character. And, of course, Razpar is sort of the main nurse that takes care of you.
Yeah, it's a very different cast from
It is.
I mean, we have
It is.
A lot of the people that I have in this particular cast. There's 3 of them I've never worked with before.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy meeting new people. But then some of them maybe two shows, some maybe 3, and then I think there's one gal. That I've done several with, but it's a newish looking cast, so it's not faces that our audiences see all the time.
For sure.
Which I think also is a help, and I just like people to know that here I'm going to give you a shot. If I think that you're capable, and if I believe you're the best person for the job, you get a shot.
Absolutely.
And show me what you got. Come bring it. Let's see what happens. But I've been pleased with the new people that have stepped right up and done good work. And they're not new to theater; they're just new to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's fun. And plus, it keeps us alive. New faces always keeps the theater alive. I think, and that's important.
For sure. And to maybe riff off that a little bit, of course, this is the second show of the season.
It is.
Wit is the second show. Of course, the first one was the Double Wide Texas, big comedy there. And then Wit, what are you going on to next after this?
Well, the season continues as soon as Wit is accomplished with Dolly Parton's music 9 to 5.
All right.
Which I think should be all right here if for our audiences. I think for where we are, I think the people will enjoy it. I will say we did Legally Blonde last year, and that was actually a pleasant surprise.
Went over
on how
really
it turned
well.
out. Yeah,
Yes.
I wasn't sure how that would go. I know that we lost the weekend of COVID in the middle weekend, so all the other houses were fairly full because we lost those 4 days. I think was some of it, but I also think some of it was because we had a lot of new people. We had and the production itself was. I certainly thought adequate.
Oh, it was really good
to have people come and see it. So, and bouncing back from the pandemic, hoping to inch our way back to where we were. We are not there yet. Most of the stuff I've read says it will take even a little bit of time yet. So I'm hoping that 9 to 5 will help, and we can ride the coattails of the bigger musical last year. After that, and this is the director's slot, the one after the musical usually. Mousetrap.
Yes.
Agatha Christie, who is on its 70th anniversary.
Oh, is it?
Something like that,
yes,
yeah.
I think 2022 could have been its 70th, and I just saw an article not too awful long ago that it's finding a home on Broadway soon. Never been.
Wow. No, it hasn't. It's always been over in London.
Continuous on the West End for almost 70 years. The pandemic stopped it for a few days, I guess, but longest running on the West End. The Mousetrap, and so
and
yay.
And with the ending sort of never being spoiled, it's sort of part of the production itself.
Right,
You're not supposed to, right? You don't talk about the ending, so it's an Agatha Christie that you don't know who did it. And I've heard it's one of her best.
Yeah,
so
we have an NDA for everybody who comes.
That's right.
Don't.
She's experiencing a bit of a renaissance, though. There's,
She kind of
some
is.
more, I guess, obviously Kenneth Branagh.
He's kind of taken up the Agatha Christie torch and is really doing some great stuff.
And thank goodness.
Of course, it's him, so all the big actors are turning out for his productions, and that's sure nice to see.
Yeah. So that will be after 9 to 5. And then after that, it's my farcical slot in October. I usually try to find something way fun in there. And we're revisiting, it's a show I've done before, Larry Shue's The Nerd.
Oh, yes.
Will be in there. It's a smaller cast since the musical is big. And Mousetrap isn't too big, but The Nerd is small. We still are mindful of production values, production costs as we work our way back from the pandemic and making sure we don't just extend ourselves way too far and not be able to catch up. Now, next year, that's not the case. Next year, everything is going to cost $1 million, and we'll get stuff on the stage. But then we finish with the bookend to Double Wide Texas, which opened the season. We have a Double Wide Christmas, so it's the same group of people. We just see them in a different situation at Christmas time.
Yes.
And so we'll see what happens with the Crumpler family, as it were.
Yes, indeed.
What's happening to them at Christmas in their brand new town. And I will say, if it's Jones, Hope, and Wooten are the authors of that, and if you've done theater, you know who they are. The biggest show, Dixie Swim Club, which I think is now the Delilah Swim
really?
Club. Yeah, they changed the name.
Interesting.
On that. But they wrote for Golden Girls and Designing Women as well. So they're writers. But if you like little Southern charm, little Southern humor, that type of thing, that's Jones, Hope, and Wooten.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how we'll close the season.
I used to love Designing Women when I was little.
Me too.
That's very witty.
Great actors. And
Oh,
Jean
yeah.
Smart, talk about a renaissance.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
no kidding.
No kidding.
Absolutely.
She's great.
She is great.
That and I don't know anybody who doesn't like Golden Girls. It's
Yes.
come on.
It is iconic.
Come
Yeah,
on.
it is. Yeah,
But yeah, as you watch Double Wide Texas, and as I read through the Double Wide Christmas, you can see when you say Designing Women, Golden Girls. Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I can. Yeah, I see that. So yeah, if you're a fan of that,
I can hear it. Yes.
Yeah, you can absolutely hear it. But really looking forward to Wit and getting to present Wit, and I'm looking forward to everybody seeing you in Wit. I think
you.
you're gonna kill it. You're killing it in rehearsals, and like I said, I can't wait to see you with an audience. It's gonna get even better than it already is, and I wish you. I won't say good luck, but I'll break all of the legs.
Yes.
Thank you. I will take that. Thank you.
And congratulations, Kevin, because I just want to say here too, Kevin has been with the Loft since its inception.
Since
really,
before fire
and
was
and
invented.
I know we were talking about the right person coming in the door earlier, but I think Kevin just has a really good intuitiveness about people that he hasn't met before, and I just think that's really kind of a skill that you've honed.
Well, I get lucky. I've had a lot of good people around me that have made this what it is. It's interesting after a show for a long time, and people still tell me, oh, the casting, you cast that so well.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
they don't know. They've just seen this cast. It's like, well, okay.
But
well,
you made
thank
it
you so
believable.
much.
True, though.
So yeah.
How do you know who I didn't cast? So I think that's interesting. But no, it's the help that I've had with the theater, and of course without Diane and Bill, who started the whole thing, my life would have been totally different. I know that.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time, and
Yeah.
and now here we are 40 some years later.
Yeah, I think it just really shows your skill though, because I think that's got to be a hard thing to pick the person to do the thing. That's got to be hard.
Oh, it's the hardest.
So-
two hardest things of the year is picking the season, because you live and die by those choices you make,
Yeah.
and the second one is casting. Because you know that when you make those calls or you send that email and stuff, that there are people who are disappointed.
Yes.
Yeah, and disappointed sometimes to a great degree, because it's
Sure.
something that it's a hobby, for a lot of people. It's not a full-time job, but it's a passion. When you go about your hobby with passion, you do it well. Even if it's water skiing or building model trains or whatever, whatever that hobby is, you're into it and you do it well. And when it's hard to tell people no. It just is.
Well, I can imagine it's hard too, especially if there's multiple people who are like, well, I got 3 people who can absolutely do this role.
Yeah.
So,
Always women.
yeah.
Always,
Yeah.
Always
3 or
women.
4 women that can do it just as well.
And well, that's true, especially in the Omaha area.
Yes,
Because
very
what's
much.
it, like 10 to 1 around here?
Yeah.
And so there's always more women than men auditioning. I've noticed that every place I've been to. And it's just like, God, how do you do it? How do you, like you said, you're always going to disappoint somebody, and I can't imagine disappointing somebody who also in your head you're like, well, they both of these other people could do this, and so how do I pick? Is it? And
sometimes your gut just takes over, and you got to go with what your instinct is.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Well, I think you made an excellent choice here with Miss Gilg.
Me too.
It's been my first time getting to work with her, and I've just loved it. You are a consummate professional, and blew everyone away on the first day of rehearsal. She came in off book.
Wow.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
She was ready.
She was off and ready to go, and it's just been working every single rehearsal since. And I'll tell you, don't let the subject matter scare you away. Come see this lady in this cast, because you'll be glad you did. Kevin's done such an excellent job directing this thing. I could say this because I have like 6 lines. So
Because you get to watch it.
yeah. Essentially, I'm watching most of the show and moving some furniture, and Kevin's done such an excellent job of putting this thing together, and Jennifer as shouldering the lion's share of this show has done such a magnificent job in bringing this character to life a little bit more every rehearsal, like you said. Find something new, oh, I hadn't thought about that in quite that way. Hey, you said this differently that tonight. Yeah, I did, but it makes more sense that way. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Okay, and there's always those conversations, happening, and it's been really nice to watch. And it's been nice to watch the good acting and directing going on here this past 6 weeks or so, however long it's been. And I just want to say thank you, because it's been nice for me to be a small part of this. And
I want to say right back at you. And by the way, you are always working around here too. So please give yourself some credit, because
absolutely.
I'd help him with props and stuff. That's fine, and that's needed. But we had a really great lady, also our medical advisor, Alex Gaditz, who was helping us with medical terminology, and no, don't do this, do that, and doctors don't do that, and here, no, doctors do it like this. And
Alex is with the Louisville Medical Center.
Yes, she is, and they've helped us out a lot here, and she provided all kinds of little things that we probably never would have been able to get a hold of if it wasn't for her. And she's been really sort of the invaluable sort of unsung hero of this thing, in providing us with just all the little things that make this just ring true, and people won't be going, well, what's that supposed to be? Or somebody will say, oh, well, they didn't say that right, So I feel pretty confident, and I think Alex does too, that medical professionals could come see this and not cringe, and not be cringing and snickering to themselves in the seats. They'd be like, "Oh, good for them! Yeah, they got that right. Good for them." And
she tells me that all the medical things that we're doing, she says they all look good. So as far as what she has taught us, what she said,
we're always asking,
we're doing what needs.
Was that right?
What needs to be done? She said, there you go.
Well, I'm anxious to see it. Thank you guys so much for your time and to talk about it, and all of the energy and talent that you're putting into this production to make it successful. So it's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you to the Loft Community Theater for hosting us, and to Artistic Director Kevin Colbert and actress Jennifer Gilg for talking with us about the Loft's upcoming production of the Pulitzer Prize-winning play, Wit, by Margaret Edson. The Loft will present Wit on May 5th, 6th, and 7th, and the 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. Showtimes are Thursday through Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m. Get your tickets now at loft.org/tickets, or call the box office at 402-234-2553. The cast of Wit are Jennifer Gilg, Bill Bossman, Marcus Manley, Roz Parr, Bridget Chezik, Melinda Mead, Stephanie Porter, Ryan Swanson, and Chris Berger.
Thank you for listening and supporting the arts in the Platte River area and beyond. Please subscribe to our podcast so you are sure to catch all of our future episodes and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. See you next time on the Platte River Bard.